8 above. Northwest winds will stay at about 10 to 15. For tonight, with mainly clear skies, will fall off to about 10 below with a light west wind. Then we'll see increasing cloud cover on Tuesday and a high at about 15. We'll fall to 6 below Tuesday night, 13 for a high Wednesday.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Are we distracted by cat videos at work?
What?
Is Facebook taking up more of your time than ever?
Oh, boy.
And what's all the buzz about 5G? So we're going to tackle those topics and others today at the control panel. Producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Hello.
Hey, you're doing music stuff again, too.
Yeah, I'm back on the morning show.
How'd that go today?
On our sibling station, Cool 98.7. You having a little problem with the...
Yeah, that's okay. We'll fix it later.
Okay, the phone's there?
Yeah.
All righty. But yeah, I was up real early this morning. And, of course, I'm going to spend the afternoon with you guys.
I know. It's exciting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So good. So, and, of course, today we have social media expert from National Day Calendar, Mr. Doug Philp.
Hello, Doug.
Me. Hello, Jim. Hey, congratulations on your new position there.
Thank you. Yeah. It's actually my old position, if you recall, Marlo. I did it for a while.
Yes.
And then they changed things around. Now they're changing it back.
I know.
Be back on the morning show.
And Doug doesn't know this either, but he is now officially, well, at least National Day Calendar is, which he's a big part of course, is now officially the biggest trending topic of all time on social media. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I was not aware of that.
He is the biggest trending topic on social media.
National Day Calendar is.
Not me.
Oh.
But Doug is the lead person for us for our social media at National Day Calendar.
He is the man with the plan.
That's right.
That is me.
458 times we trended last year.
Really?
458 times.
That would translate to...
More than once a day.
Exactly, once in a third time.
Well, you got that lamp right next to my desk at your place.
Yeah.
It goes off every time somebody... how does it work now?
So every time somebody mentions us on Twitter, it blinks.
Okay.
So
it blinks a lot.
It does blink a lot, doesn't it? Sometimes in the mornings, it's like a strobe light over there, just always blinking on and off. Yep. So it's pretty cool.
It's a very good sign.
Yeah, it's a very good sign.
It's a lot of fun.
Anyway, so we're excited to have you on the show today, Doug.
Well, thanks for having me.
So we're going to get right into 5G. Anybody know what 5G is?
It's bandwidth for cellular technology.
Very good.
Gigabytes?
So think of it this way. So 5G is just the fifth generation. Right now most phones have 3G or 4G. Most phones probably have 4G, but there's still some out there that have 3.
Right.
So we started off at first generation, second generation, and you can refer to our little infographic we got here. So second generation came out in 1991, basically allowed texting to go on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really that big a deal at the time. 1998, 3G came out. I don't think most people didn't even have 3G until 2010. I mean, there really wasn't much of a need for it until we started getting the internet on our phones.
Right.
So, but that allowed texting and internet access. And then 2008 was the advent of 4G, which I'm guessing we've probably had for 3 or 4 years now. Commercially, I mean, where we all have access to it.
Well, I remember the first phone I had where you could text, and it was kind of difficult to text with it.
Right.
And now, of course, it's ridiculously easy.
Yes.
I've got this little iPhone and my pad, and basically it can do what a desktop does.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. In fact, I was just talking to somebody last night, and they have the exact same phone I have. I have Samsung Note 8 Plus.
Right.
And they got themselves a little adapter to hook it up to their monitor. So, and now they've put a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to it. So, and they have a little cradle that it sits in when they go to work. They're basically using their phone as their work computer. So they just come in, cradle it up, start typing, and because you can Bluetooth right to it, typing and have your mouse right there, and then you just grab it and go. And that's where we're really heading to. It really is. So then 5G is going to be coming out pretty shortly. 2020 is the expected date of it, although there'll be some markets that will start seeing it roll out later this year, although there won't be a lot of devices that will support it. So 4G's been great. I mean, the difference between 3G and 4G, I remember trying to use my GPS on my phone in 3G situations, and I was always ahead of my GPS. I mean, I would be, basically getting to an intersection, waiting for my phone to tell me where I was supposed to go and not knowing where I was going. So 4G pretty much has alleviated that. But there's a lot of data that's coming through that, right? So the difference between 3G and 4G in speed, so 3G to 4G, basically you've seen about a 10 to 20 time increase in speed from 3G to 4G. It'll be another 10-fold with 5G. So the difference between 3G to 5G will be 100 to 200 times faster.
Wow.
It's pretty fast.
That is amazing.
It's pretty amazing. You will actually be able to stream 8K video with 5G. So right now, if you're streaming HD quality, you'll be able to stream 8K quality. However, we may not want to do that because our data plans are probably going to go through it'll be interesting to see what happens, because if you're able to stream that much more, are they going to give us more space for our plans? Because right now mine is like 10 gigs a month.
Yeah.
I don't know, most people
I got
are probably in
Wi-Fi.
there. Right.
And I don't know exactly how that works. I mean, I let my wife handle all that.
Right. So Wi-Fi, when you're in your Wi-Fi area, you don't usually have to worry about the speed that's coming from
That
the
was my
cellular.
understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just when you're out and about that you have to worry about that a little bit. So there's overage charges and stuff. And it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But what will really be interesting is that I think we're going to see more and more devices that will be coming online because of the speed that you have now. So things to monitor, ranches. You won't have they'll actually build things in so that the monitoring takes place without. So it'll be like the Internet of Things out there in areas that won't normally have Wi-Fi. You can just plug and make a cell phone connection basically and have that internet connection. So that's going on now. It's not practical because there's so much data that has to be transferred. Well, when it's 10 times faster, it'll make it. So you think about this, right? A file that it would take 3 minutes to get will now take 30 seconds.
That is much faster.
So, for example, actually, that's not even. It would be like 5 minutes, right? Yeah, 5 minutes would take 30 seconds now. So it's significantly faster. So you're going to see all kinds of stuff. The challenge, though, is that this higher speed is a higher frequency. So the ability for it to go through walls into your homes, into your businesses is greatly diminished.
Okay.
So they are going to have to build an entirely new structure to support this. There's estimates that this will cost $300 billion to the industry, because what will happen is that every light pole going down Main Street will probably have some type of adapter on it, because they're going to have to repeat all this stuff, and they're going to have to build this. Why are you smiling, Doug?
Well, two reasons. The first one is, remember our homes when you had antennas on your rooftops?
Yeah.
Years ago, and how unsightly that was.
Yeah.
And so even with all of this technology, we're coming full swing to where that infrastructure will include, for lack of anything else, an antenna or a booster.
Right. They'll be small, though, and it probably won't be too unsightly because they'll incorporate them, hopefully, into existing infrastructure. I love when I'm down in the Vegas and LA area. A lot of their towers look like man-made palm trees, for example.
Sure.
Yeah, they make things like that just to kind of blend them in a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, the advent of 5G is going to be pretty amazing, and I think it's going to make a lot of things possible. Of course, probably the biggest thing that we're going to be seeing 5G being utilized in, and what's going to make this technology possible, is driverless cars.
That's the big thing.
That's the big deal. Yeah. The ability to move that kind of data, and will depend a lot on the ability of the cars that we're going to have in the future. So simple as that.
Now, how many people are they going to have to hire for this new technology?
It'll be significant.
Yeah.
So, and we talk about the disruption of jobs all the time, right? People do lose jobs on one side of it, but this is going to be a significant industry, and all the spillover from it will be significant as well. So right. I know we're running right up against the clock here, so let's just go to our break, and after the break, everybody, we'll continue our discussion on 5G, and is watching cats at work disrupting your daily routine? So we'll talk more about that after the break.
right now to above.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank everybody who follows us and listens to us on the Blueberry Network.
Thank you.
On the Tech Podcast Network. We're on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Tuned In. You can find us on Amazon Echo. Woo! So let me see if I can trigger everybody's Amazon right now. No. Let's see. So Alexa, play the Tech Ranch podcast. And now it's firing up on 2,000 Alexas right now, right? And, of course, we have our own app, Radio Pup. But, yeah, if you want to follow us or listen to the show on Alexa, all you have to do is just ask for the Tech Ranch podcast, and it just fires right up. It's kind of cool. So
there you are.
I know. Pretty cool. I installed one. My mother, I love this story, everybody. I know I talk about her occasionally. She has a rotary phone.
Okay.
No.
And it's crazy is that the rotary phone about 2 years ago died. This is the phone I had as a child, and it died. And she calls the phone company, and they came out and put a new rotary phone in for her.
Really? I would have never thought that it actually still would make the connection with the little click, 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 click.
She has to, there's an adapter on the back of the phone. I noticed, I was looking at it yesterday to make that work. And what's crazy about it is she's been paying like $8 and some cents a month since I was a child on the lease on this phone. And I tried to explain to her that you can buy a phone for $10.
Yeah.
So let's see.
They must laugh every time they get this lease payment in for this rotary phone that they actually replaced.
So at $100 a year, basically, at your age, she spent about $1 million on that phone.
That's a lot of money on that phone.
Well, I think the geezer still has one of those trunk line numbers where you ring the bell for Lulu Bell down at the courthouse.
Right.
Who connects you to, Goober and whoever else.
Right. Well, so the rest of the story is that Cooper is that my mother actually decided to put the internet in.
Wow.
Cool.
So, and it's not for what you think. She still does not have a computer. But she's cutting the cord for the cable company. And she likes so I put a Roku in for her yesterday. And then I thought as a nice little treat, I'll put an Amazon Echo in.
Yeah.
So I put that in yesterday as well. And, of course, they're loving it. In fact, they called me this morning from their Alexa. You can just say, hey, Alexa, call blah, blah, blah. And it will, if it's synced up to your phone, it will call you. And the system I put in there is actually synced up to my phone because it brought all my contacts and stuff over. So it must have just said call, me, and then it did. And so that's what was ringing at work this morning, Doug.
Is that what it was?
That was my mother calling me on the Alexa.
Now,
but they love it.
It's funny you mention that because my wife and I have been having an issue. I have Netflix on my iPad, and it's great.
Yep.
We want to get it. We want to get it on our TV, but we've got an old TV. It doesn't have the jack.
Oh, you don't have
for Netflix. Now there apparently is a way to do it. We're talking to Mid-Continent, and they're supposed to get back to us at some point. Apparently, it does cost some money.
Well, you have,
but there is a way to do it.
You have the older generation Roku, like the Roku 1 and I think the Roku 2, which is still available. You can
this is like a 10-year-old TV.
Yeah, you can go buy those, and they have composite jacks on them. That yellow jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can plug in.
How much are they?
They're like $40.
Yeah.
They're not terrible.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And then you can plug it into any TV, any old TV before the digital conversion, you can plug a Roku into, and they'll work.
Very good.
And, it's a great repurposing. If you have one of those TVs that you want to repurpose or whatever to use, then, that's a great way to do that. So,
all righty.
I actually, Jim, I probably have one laying around at the shop. So just remind me today. I'll send you one. I don't think we even use it anymore, so you can just have it if you want.
There you go.
So there you go.
Now you're going to have all kinds of people calling up for free stuff.
I know. Well, I get a lot of free stuff, too, so it's okay. If people want free stuff, call Jim.
No, call the geezer.
No, that's right. Call the geezer.
You should see this closet he has in the back of the building.
And then if the geezer doesn't have it, then he can ask me, and then we'll figure it out, right? Yeah. So is Facebook gobbling, more of your time or less of your time right now? So Do you use Facebook a lot, Jim?
At home, yes.
Okay.
I try not to use it too much at work, either here or with you guys. But, I mean, when I'm at home, I'm on it a lot. I try to at least make it productive time. I look at things on Facebook. I correspond with friends of mine about things going on. And then I generally go over to YouTube and look at some videos. I try to pick out some interesting videos to look at that are at least educational. I love documentaries.
Sure.
So I'll look at a documentary on YouTube. So I kind of rationalize that it's not completely wasted time for me.
So so my stance, by the way, with Facebook, and I don't know if a lot of people who have staff do this, but I won't say I encourage Facebook use, but I encourage the messenger part of Facebook at work because our phones don't ring as much.
Yeah,
I mean our phones ring enough the way it is at work, right? So,
right.
But we don't take as many personal calls at work anymore. And even on cell phones, I don't see as many personal calls being happen at work because I think people just reach out over Facebook or whatever messaging service you're using.
Yeah,
and getting a hold of people that way. So that's the one reason that I'm like 50-50 with Facebook at work. But I like the fact that we don't have as many distractions of picking up the phone. There's a message that pops up on your computer screen. You can answer it, and you're on your way again. Right. So that's what I like about it. So how about you, Doug? I mean, are you outside of work? As I know this is what you do at work all day long, but but outside of work, are you feeling like you're using Facebook more or less than you used to?
I'd say about the same, but I've never really used it outside of work for family or friends type of stuff. It's always been more of a private group type of a thing.
Okay.
So the conversations that you would have in that regard are not personal. They're, if it's political or it's work-oriented outside of work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you're talking to people that are like-minded. So it's not idle type of Facebook stuff.
I think my Facebook time is down significantly. I'm just actually kind of bored with the format. I mean, I hate to say that.
I can understand that.
I miss the earlier days of Facebook. I don't like the fact that Facebook's gotten away of me, of deciding what it is, whose timeline should be shared with mine, and that type of thing, right? I mean, that's what's going on now, is that they actually say, this is of interest to Marlo, so we'll push that over to him. But this other one that Jim, so Doug posts something, they think I'm interested in that, but Jim posts something, and I'm not really that. At least Facebook doesn't think I'm interested in that, and it doesn't show up on my timeline anymore.
Yeah, I mean, how do they know? Well, they base it on what AI. You already look at. Yes.
Yeah. So they base it on that, but
there's a lot of people I hardly ever hear from, and I know they're there, but I would like to hear from them.
I am in the same space, so I've actually, because of that, have kind of moved away from that. So as a whole, Facebook is being used less.
Yeah.
I would say the way you described it, that tells me that the change where they want to push relevant stuff to the individual user. You and I are friends on Facebook, Marlo.
Yeah.
And if it's not really something silly that we put up in our office or something like that, it really doesn't pop on my timeline.
Right.
But like you said, you don't use it a lot.
Yeah.
So then Facebook is going to try to push more towards me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Well, Facebook in particular, a big change has been in the demographic shift. A lot of younger people, the younger demos are getting away from Facebook precisely because their parents and grandparents, folks our age, your age and mine and Doug's, we're using it more.
Yes. Yeah, and that's exactly right. They don't want their parents to see what they're doing.
We're all geezers to them. So
yeah, that's exactly right. But, it's just one of those things. I feel like it's, and I know that they're doing this because they want to monetize content as well, right?
Sure.
So they want to make money. And,
And
I mean, there was many years that Facebook didn't make any money at all. I mean, it had a huge following, and they were just trying to figure it out, kind of like what we do with
how
National
to make
Calendar,
money out of it. Yeah.
But they have figured that out now, and now as they figure out who we are and what our hobbies are and all this other stuff, then they can, market us appropriately,
Well, that's a big thing right now. There's a lot of people on the internet doing things that they haven't figured out how to make any money out of it.
Right.
That's a big problem. That's a big issue right now.
It is a big issue. Twitter falls into that space, too. They still keep trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in my line, you got talk show hosts and radio, audio entertainers, and with a very, very, very few, as an exception, except for a very few, most of the guys out there who are doing it are just kind of scrambling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you watching cat videos, Doug, at work?
No, not lately.
I love cat videos. I do. I'm a cat. I've become a converted cat person.
Well, the reason I'm bringing that up, a lot of people, how are we doing for time, Jim?
I guess we're right 30 seconds.
All right. So we'll talk about if people are wasting time at work watching cat videos.
I love them kids.
After the break, everybody.
Right now to Above.
News and Views with Joel Heitkamp. Weekdays on SuperTalk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So, are you watching more cat videos at work
yeah.
than you should be?
I love the one where the cats have the little bell like you have at a hotel.
Yeah.
Where you ring for service. Some idiot actually had two cats, and he trained them both to ring this bell for food. So what do you think they do? They just sit there all day. The whole lives. The whole life of this guy is, this cat ringing for food every day.
That would get a little old after a while.
Yeah.
I've got a bell on my desk I can ring for coffee.
Does it work?
It does.
Wow.
Not really work, no. Because they might be listening.
I love the...
No, you ring it and Amy turns around and looks at you like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Something like that.
I love the cats rolling around on the robotic vacuum cleaners, too.
That's fun.
Those are always so hilarious.
Well, there was a new one this past Christmas. They had a new Christmas commercial for, I forget who it was, but one of the mail order, Amazon or one of them, where they talk about the cat got a new Roomba for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
He's riding around on it. That was great.
And I did see last week that Grumpy Cat is suing, I don't know who or what, over the fact that they were impersonating the Grumpy Cat.
Oh, my goodness.
Or something like that.
So, wow, there's even lawsuits on cat videos now.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
It is.
Well, there's Grumpy Cat. There's Little Bub, who's adorable.
Yeah.
This little kitty cat has got some kind of thing where she was born with no teeth.
Right.
And her tongue just kind of hangs out. But she's a beautiful cat.
We did see Grumpy Cat. Actually seen it about a year ago. It was at a show that we were at. Had the whole booth set up.
Oh, that's great.
They had special appearances of Grumpy Cat. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding.
Yeah, usually Grumpy and Little Bub and the others, they kind of make the rounds together.
They do. So
making money.
But yeah, so the reason I'm bringing this up is people, and I thought I had it in here about this little report performance thing, but they were doing some testing to see why our performance at work hasn't been going up. Because
you're kidding me. Oh man, I know where this is going.
Because you would think with all the technology we have, right, that we would be more efficient than ever before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But all we are is distracted by technology more and more. So, we're talking about dealing with many things at one time. Well, we have 18 different ways people can get a hold of us now. Email, 14 different types of messenger on our computer screens and on our phones. Then, of course, we have phones.
Yeah.
So you have all this distraction going on. And then, of course, if you're like me and you get into YouTube a little bit and you start watching, you say, I'm just going to watch 30 seconds something of whatever, right? And the next thing you know, a half hour has gone by. So.
Well, that brings up an issue right there, the issue of what specifically you are looking at. This actually came up last week at your office where Alice, your wife, asked me, she was very cool about it. She said, don't post any political things on Facebook from our office.
Oh, sure.
And, sure, it never occurred to me. I had done it a few times during breaks, and it had never occurred to me there'd be a problem, but I can understand why there would be.
Well, I think, everything is tagged nowadays, too, location-wise and stuff. That's always a challenge nowadays. So, but there's just so many things that distract us at work nowadays. So the efficiency... it really hasn't increased a lot, the productivity of workers over the last 2 decades, simply because as more and more technology makes our lives better and easier to work with and that type of thing, it's also as much of a distraction.
We're hitting diminishing returns.
It's interesting,
think.
actually. You know, I think for some people who don't get sucked into all of that, it's probably great. And I mean, I hate to say that maybe I'm one of those people.
There are people who know how to do it with moderation.
But I certainly...
I'm not one of them.
I certainly feel like I get a lot more done during the day because I utilize my technology around me, you know. But I am one of those too that if I actually, I mean, especially music is my catnip.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll start watching. I mean, like last night, you know, I'll watch the music video and what's the group? The Civil. Is it the Civil War?
There is a group called the Civil War.
They are amazing.
They're like Americana, modern, progressive country.
Yes,
alt country.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
And I watched one video. Somebody has suggested them to me, and I went and watched this video. And you know, here I am an hour later, and I'm now watched 20 of their videos. You know, so
that happened to a friend of mine with what group was it? Southern Culture on the Skids.
Oh yeah,
they're great.
Yeah, and that's the thing about YouTube and now and the internet, of course, is that it's very easy to get into that stuff.
Well, I like to have music playing in the background when I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes I have to turn it off. I mean, it's weird for me. Sometimes it helps me, forget about the time, and not be conscious of the clock, which, helps the day fly by. And then there are times when it has the exact opposite effect, and I actually have to turn it off so I can focus.
I think music, for the most part, helps the creativity.
I think it does.
It doesn't have to be blaring, but I mean, of course, our office is probably the exception to the rule.
And some of us get up and dance. Just indiscriminately start dancing and things like that.
And again, Amy looks over at us like, what the hell is wrong with you? Did you bump your head?
Yes, many times.
At the end of the show today, we're going to have a line of people wanting to work at our shop. I'm just telling you right now because it sounds like a party going on.
Well, and you talk about all of the technology being a distraction for us. In my job and many of us at work, we provide that distraction.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had a guy.
It is what it is.
My first year in college, I roomed with a guy, an engineering major, who always had, Quadrophenia by The Who, or some progressive jazz like Weather Report and some of the really out there jazz groups. He always had one of these things going at deafening volume.
Right.
While he was studying, he couldn't study without it.
Yeah.
I was just the opposite. I had to get away from it.
Yeah, I would have to get away from that.
Find a nice quiet corner somewhere.
Right. So speaking of music, do you remember the first CD you bought?
The first CD?
CD. I remember this.
I remember some of the first CDs I bought. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Would you?
I'm sure some of the Beatles CDs.
Okay.
I remember when they came out. I was in Texas at the time, and there was a big to-do about the fact that I think Abbey Road was one of the first Beatles CDs to come out.
Okay.
And same time, Bruce Springsteen had that big 3-record set of his live tour music. And that was a big deal, and I bought that too.
Yep. How about you, Doug? Remember the first one you bought?
Not the first, but it was either Creedence or George Thorogood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I bought, and I remember this plain as day. We were up in Canada, and I knew that this new format was coming out. This was 1985, and Janet Jackson was releasing her first new album. So I bought Control, and then I also bought the soundtrack to Ruthless People. Bette Midler.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito and Bette Midler, yeah. So I actually had, I think, about a half a dozen CDs before I could afford to buy a CD player, because the CD player was like $600 at the time. So it was a big investment for me at that time. But that's probably one of the very few things in my life that I actually saved up money for to go buy.
Get this, the car I'm using right now is so old it still has a cassette player in it.
That
doesn't work,
yeah.
Which is no fair, because I've got all these cassettes at home and nothing to play them on.
But, there was that time where, back in the 80s there, when CDs were out and CD players were starting to come out for cars.
Yes, they were.
If you put a CD in one of those newer CD players for cars, they didn't work very well. They skipped all over the place.
Yeah,
and all, so they got that thing kind of figured out. And then I bought, I remember I bought an MP3 player for my car.
Yeah.
And I think I had recorded hundreds and hundreds of songs on a CD, and we listened to that I think we went to Minnesota for Thanksgiving and then drove up to my home in Des Lacs, North Dakota, on that same Thanksgiving Day weekend, and we never listened to the same song once on that CD.
Whoa,
that's a lot of songs.
Yeah, a lot of songs on there. So I was impressed with that format. But same thing happened with that. I mean, it was skipped all over the place and whatever. So our millennials nowadays, even with the technology they carry around with, don't even understand the early days of.
Used to be when you hit a pothole. I mean, you just skipped right over a
song.
Yeah,
exactly. The reason I'm bringing this up is Best Buy is pulling CDs.
Pulling them.
That's right. I saw that over the weekend.
Yep.
And that's a big deal because that used to be one of the places to go.
That's correct.
To get your music.
That's correct. And then Target is actually making a move that the labels will only be compensated if the CD sells. So it's almost like a consignment type of scenario.
I thought that was kind of the idea anyway.
Well, what happens now is that when you put stuff into a store, like your phone or this.
And I should know this because of the business I'm in, but
most places buy stuff at a wholesale rate and then resell them at a retail rate, right?
Got you.
And then the return part of it isn't usually, you usually take that chance as a retailer that you're going to sell that stuff, right? They're changing that whole thing. They're not going to, they're actually saying, Target's saying now that we will only pay you for when the music is sold. It's not going to be sitting on our inventory sheets, and we'll be paying that in 60 days.
What about places like Barnes & Noble? Some of the Barnes & Noble stores, not the one here in town, they have some CDs, but not that many. There are some Barnes & Noble stores in the bigger cities that have a whole section.
Huge section of
or
them.
Had a huge section.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do.
But the same is true with DVDs.
Yeah.
And more places. I mean, the DVD sections on these stores used to be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go to any superstore and they'd have aisles and aisles of DVDs, and now it's down to like a half an aisle to an aisle. And I also think that because they're going to start pulling CDs, that they're going to start pulling DVDs too. I think this is going to be the year you're going to start seeing the demise of those two. And it's hard to. This is a tough one because I can see VHS tapes and stuff going by the wayside. But,
they already have pretty much.
Right, but I can see that because they take a lot of space. The quality isn't that great.
And they break. And
they break and all this stuff, right? But CDs and DVDs, they're going to be, this is going to be a tough one to replace.
Yeah.
Except, with hard drives, which what everybody's going to be using now, of course.
Sure.
Flash drives, whatever, so... I don't know. Do you use a CD anymore, Doug?
No, I don't.
So you stream everything, don't you?
Yes.
Or you have it on your hard drive now and you pull some music that way?
All of the above, or just listen to it over the air, Pandora or something like that.
Some magazines, like I play guitar and I play piano. The magazines for guitar players and piano players, some of them have CDs to go along with the lessons in the magazine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where you can listen to it and learn how to play it like it's on the recording.
So tutorial type of thing. So I don't know if that stuff, there'll always be room for some of this stuff, I guess. But it's kind of a sad day for me to be telling you this. Because,
it's like, I'm still bummed because vinyl went away.
Well, but that's coming back. In fact, Best Buy is actually going to have more vinyl on the shelves than CDs now.
And there are still places where you can buy the classic old vinyl. The collectors have stores.
Absolutely.
Yes,
after the break,
we
everybody.
Have no bananas.
Yes, we do. Anyway, after the break,
it's a very old classic. Jim knows it.
We will talk about cutting the cords.
Yeah.
Come on back.
Right now, it's 4 above.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about cutting the cord.
All right.
This goes back to last night's big game, of course, Philly and New England. What a game.
How about them Eagles?
That was a game.
It was pretty good for a guy that didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it down. I was just sharing with everybody.
I was listening to the guy who does the Eagles games in Philadelphia. His name is Merrill Reese, and he is old as Methuselah. He's one of these old school, old time sportscasters.
Right.
He's kind of got that Harry Carey thing going.
Yeah.
And the Eagles score a touch. And by the end of the game, he sounds like he's having an aneurysm.
Well, I was coming back from the coffee shop. I really didn't plan to watch it either. In fact, I don't even have some of our small screens in the house. I would be able, because we still have cable coming into those, I guess.
Right.
So I'd still be able to watch it. But I've cut the cord for the most part in our house. So our major, like our theater room and things, I have no cable coming into it anymore. So, but I can cast.
Yes.
So as I was coming back from a little bit of at the coffee shop, I was listening to the game, and just like you were talking about, Jim, I mean, they just sucked me into that game. It was just, it was a great, they were off to the races already. So.
Oh, you were talking about the Eagles' strategy and how they were dealing with. And I don't want to get into a long thing. It's not a sports show, but the thing, how do you deal with a guy like Brady, who is just a force of nature?
Yep. And I was just he is. I mean, he's like 40 years old and still looking like he's playing like he's 25. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I think with a guy like Brady, one thing you can do is you do kind of a rope-a-dope, where you just you let him, like you say, you let him make all his big moves midfield.
I think that's
hope to tire him out before he gets down to the.
I truly believe that it'll be interesting to hear if the coaches ever, from the Eagles side, ever give up their strategy. But I just wonder if they just let, New York or New England just decide to, let's let them air it out a little bit through the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Let them have some big plays in the middle of the field, and then when it gets compressed by the end zone, then we'll step up and play a little extra defense. And I actually truly believe, as I analyzed the game from last night, that's what they did.
That's a very savvy strategy if you don't have the muscle necessarily.
Yes, exactly.
If you don't have a guy to go head-to-head with a Brady.
Yep.
I mean, they've got some competent quarterbacks, obviously.
Obviously so, yeah.
But, when you're facing a behemoth like a Tom Brady, you got to come up with a different strategy.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting.
And apparently the Eagles had the strategy. And maybe Brady is slowing down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, he's still the MVP of the year, though.
I'm not going to knock him too much. He's bigger than me.
But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't have a way to watch it traditionally. I was able to cast it last night. So NBC was showing the game live on the internet as well. So you can go to NBC.com, click on it to watch the game there.
Oh, really? Were they charging for it?
No, it was free.
Oh, yeah. I had no
idea. A lot of times that's the way it is. Like if you go to Fox or NBC or CBS or whatever, they're streaming their stuff live on their websites. So you can be out
somewhere hanging out. Maybe your family's gone shopping. You can just sit there with your iPhone.
Absolutely. And it's not just football. I mean, even more and more of their programming is that way now, right? So then you can cast it. So you can get like a Google Cast or whatever and then cast it. Or Apple TV has this. So if you have a Mac, you can do this as well. And you can just beam it basically wirelessly over to your television.
Well, all the big networks have their, CBS.com and all that.
Right, exactly.
Where you can watch, if you miss 60 Minutes, you can go right there and watch it.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I got home and I thought, I wonder if I can just cast it. So I hopped on there and I cast it up to my big screen. And within 30 seconds, I had it going there. So the ability for you to cut the cord with your cable company or whatever has never been more prolific than it is right now. And in fact,
it is a money savings opportunity.
It is a money saving opportunity.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason that my mother decided to go to internet wasn't because of her computer, because I don't know if she'll ever get a computer, but she did it because she wants to save a couple dollars.
Sure.
And you have kind of the best of both worlds, because you're able to save a couple dollars and you actually increase your content. So you have like Netflix and Hulu and those type of things. And now this is what's interesting about it, right? You're starting to see like Showtime, HBO.
That's what really excited me, is when I heard that HBO was working on it.
Yeah, they have it now. I mean, so
going cordless.
But the thing is that they're going to get us all a la carte now, right? So before you know it, you're going to be spending $100 a month on your entertainment at home anyway, because now you're going to spend your $12 for Showtime and $8 for CBS or whatever.
But that's fine, because I'm paying for what I want.
That's correct. So if you don't want all of it, and there's still a lot of it that will be free content, so I don't think you have to worry about too much about that. But anyway, they're figuring that by 2022, 38.4% of combined residential cable and telco wireless broadband subscribers will be cutting the cord, meaning that 38.4% of the country will not have cable services, or television services to their home. They'll just be using traditional, or they'll move away from traditional to the newer tech stuff. So this is becoming, and right now it is, I thought it was like 27% is at that level. So basically a quarter of the population already has made the move.
Yeah.
To not, I would best bet most of that is the millennial population.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it'll start with the younger ones.
Yeah, and, they have no need to...
Well, I'm not millennial by any stretch of the imagination. It's been over a year and a half ago that my wife and I cut the cord.
Yeah.
We just use our cell phones and the hotspot if we want to cast over and fire up the smart TV.
And that's what you've been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that works great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you talk about it being a la carte, some people would say I'm pretty cheap. And so if I can't find it for free on YouTube, we don't watch it.
I see.
Okay.
But there's so much content even right there.
Absolutely.
And and the majors now are starting to offer more and more of their content online. They don't have a choice. If they want to compete in this space, they have no choice but to offer their content streaming online.
Yeah.
And they can do it just like traditional means. Just know that they're serving it to a computer that then can be shared to bigger screens if they want to go.
Well, they still have to offer the programming that people want. They still have to offer shows that are interesting.
That's correct.
And compelling and all that.
Right, but if the ability for if you've gone from having 300 people able to watch your show in this country to 200 million people because 1 million or 100 million of them move to other devices.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and then that number is going to continue to grow. Those traditional companies have to make adjustments to allow so that they can get to 300 million people again for what they're doing. So,
what if your favorite shows are like there's one on this network and one on this network and one on this network?
Right.
Like there's one on Amazon and one on Netflix and so on.
And that happens.
Yeah.
So you have to make those choices. I know CBS with the new Star Trek series, Discovery, right? So CBS launches their new online version or streaming version with Star Trek.
Don't know anything about it. But
it costs $8 a month.
Yeah.
To get
just
CBS
for CBS.
For CBS streaming or CBS Interactive or whatever they're calling it, right? And that's the only place you can get Star Trek.
Yeah.
So they know that the pull of Star Trek is enough to get $8 a month, and I'm one of them. I'm like, I don't want to pay $8 a month to watch. They have another subscription that I'm working with, but at the same time, then I think about it and go, well, if I go to a Star Trek movie, I'm going to spend $50 or $100, for that experience. So $8 a month doesn't seem so bad anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how I justify it, I guess. But anyway,
until you have 6, 8, or 10 of those.
Yeah, and that's exactly that, right? Exactly right. So also Google device bug chokes home Wi-Fi networks. Since we're talking about casting, so there's been a bug that's been in Google Cast devices such as Chromecast and Home that can slow down and crash Wi-Fi networks. What happens if they're asleep and you wake them up? They send like a gazillion packets through the Wi-Fi in your home, and it shuts down the Wi-Fi. So then you have to reboot it. They're fixing it, but just know that if you're using those type of services, that's what's going on, and they're trying to fix it. So.
That kind of happened to me with Netflix about a month ago. I was watching something, all of a sudden it stopped, and I had to call them, and actually they had to reset something on their end to get going again.
Yeah, it does happen. Absolutely, it does happen. So, and with that, everybody, I guess we're at that time, Jim, aren't we?
It must be that time again.
It is. Doug, a pleasure having you on the show today. It was fun.
It's a good time.
Yes, Jim, pleasure as always, and everybody have a great week.
And stay warm.